I have to remember that I have to clear every room, but then I know the gunshot's coming from there, and you have people running your way. Whew, chaotic. It's very chaotic.
Welcome back and good morning to In the Know with KO. I'm your host, Kristen Adams, also known as KO. Grab a cup of whatever makes you happy because we are about to embark on a really fun conversation with my beautiful friend, not only one of my personal friends, but an absolute powerhouse, Mee-Ladie Delgado. She is a mentor for young women, a former Ms. United States. Hello, look at her. And a fierce advocate for the community. After making an impact in the world of pageantry, she turned her sights to business, launching multiple successful ventures. But deep down, she always knew she was meant for more. And what does that mean? Well, a few years ago, she took a bold step forward and pursued her lifelong dream of serving and protecting our country. Not only did she land the career of her dreams, but she's doing it at one of the most prestigious places in the nation, the National Capital Region. And trust me, she's not stopping there. She is growing in her role and has some big announcements coming in her next appearance, which we'll be scheduling after today. So you don't want to miss that conversation. So without further ado, Mee-Ladie, are you ready for some rapid fire?
Oh my gosh, yes.
All right, let's go. Okay, coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
I already knew that answer. Crown or badge?
Ooh, badge.
Evening gown or tactical gear?
Tactical gear all day.
That's my girl. Public speaking or crisis negotiation?
Ooh, crisis negotiation.
High heels or combat boots?
That's a 50-50, but combat boots all day.
Ooh, city life or country escape?
Ooh, country escape.
All right. See, so I told you guys, she's literally the coolest girl I'm friends with. And I've got some really cool friends, but you are one that I really enjoy bragging about because let's face it, you not only have grown so much right before my eyes in all of the years that we've been friends, but you're so accomplished for young women or older women like me to look at, and I feel like we've kind of flipped the script a little bit because, yeah, I may be older than you in age, but I feel you have accomplished so much, and that makes you worthy of me looking up to you. So
that
yes.
means a lot. Thank you.
Oh, it's very deserving. And you know what? Not everybody gets to have that influence on people. I'm a firm believer that when people come to you for advice, it is the greatest compliment, right? Whether it's, hey, how did you do your makeup like that? Or I love your outfit, or how did you achieve that, right? So I also really love your family ties. And by the way, shout out to Mom, who's in the studio today. Y'all can't see her, but this is where she gets her loveliness from.
Yeah.
I would say you have a perfect combination of brains and beauty from both of your parents because I've met them and they are tremendous people.
Thank you.
And I love your close family ties. That's extremely important to me. Anybody that knows me knows that, if you're in, you're in, and that means you're part of my family. And if you're not, trust me, you're going to know it. So
Yes, you are.
what are some of your favorite family traditions or favorite family places?
So I would have to say my family and I love to travel a lot, and I love the fact that we could always travel together, right? And I believe our favorite place to go is kind of going back to our roots in Puerto Rico. There's nothing like going back, experiencing our culture, tasting our food, still seeing the people that we grew up with and just kind of see them evolve. And we've taken that at least once a year. We try to take a family trip. I know my schedule kind of gets a little crazy. Sorry, Mom. But I try my best. Absolutely try my best.
I think with everything going on right now, if anyone's going to give you a break, it's going to be Mom because I know she just looks at you with such pride. I mean, it really shows. And Puerto Rico is such an amazing place because I feel like living there and visiting there, even as someone, like you said, who has roots there, you can explore Puerto Rico and never see all the beauty it has, right?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I moved back there like in my 30s. And to be quite honest, it was a culture shock. Because I was like, I was raised in America and then I'm going back to Puerto Rico. I mean, I would go back every summer, but living there, I was like, Oh, okay.
Yeah,
This is a lot. Like I
big,
was not
big change.
yeah, I wasn't expecting it. And I mean, I love my roots, but it was something to get used to again. It
Mhm.
really was. But I wasn't able to explore everything. I believe like I hit like maybe the East Coast and that was about it because I
Yeah,
couldn't experience it in just the I like 7 month period that I was there.
yeah.
So,
Well, you can't beat, I mean, between, the beach and the mountains and
hmm
then just so many beautiful things to see. I mean, we have a lot of friends actually that are from Puerto Rico, not just you. And anytime I see them posting pictures of their trips and stuff like that, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's the most picture perfect place. Um, so let's chat a little bit about your life in pageantry. I
okay.
mean, I remember when I first met you, I was not surprised to find out that you were the former Ms. United States because you are the picture of beauty, but it's from the inside. I always say, someone can have a pretty face, but if your heart isn't pure or beautiful, I don't know if we could be friends. I'll appreciate you from a distance,
Yeah.
but what's the one thing that is misunderstood about pageantry based on having lived it?
I believe you kind of just touched on it very briefly. It's the fact that it's all beauty and no brains.
Mm.
I met some extraordinary women in the pageantry industry and so well accomplished. I mean, it even goes beyond just us competing, but the fact that we had judges that were very well accomplished from many different areas and many different industries. I mean, these women would come with so many different perspectives, so many different ideas. How we would just even interact with on each other just really broadened my overall understanding of how much we could accomplish as women, right? You come from the industry, it's just, no, it's not just beauties. I mean, we have to prepare ourselves, we have to be dedicated. It's a form of just having a platform to be able to have a public speaking perspective of like what you want your word to be and just kind of like what is it that you want to be able to speak into the public and what foundation you want to integrate during your reign because that was very important, right? Like what is it that you're wanting to impact, what is the type of impact that you want to have throughout your reign. And it's not just, oh, I look pretty, here's my crown. No, I remember I was an engineer by day and I had my heels at night, and that was just my persona during what I had to do, but it absolutely helped me because I had vendor relationship, I had customer relationship, and then I would go and I would have public events that I had to do public speaking in front of the mayor, and it was all coincides, all well-rounded of who I needed to be and who I wanted to be, right?
Yeah.
So pageantry is beyond the gown, beyond the crown. It's who you are and what you make of it, right? Everything you do in life is what you make of it. Even with my badge nowadays, it's what you make of it. Um, and I wish that people would just see beyond that, right? Because you see a pretty woman and they're like, ah. And I'm just like, ah, wait till you see me do what's next. So it's
Oh,
like,
well, I'm pretty sure you have officially broken the mold now, not just as Ms. United States, but you're right because you're right. I forgot about your engineering days, and you literally had work boots and a hard hat on. I've seen the pictures. I've talked with you about it. I mean, you had so many interesting businesses and so many great experiences that you were so much greater than that. And you know, when you were Ms. United States, I know that there were some obligations
absolutely.
as far as giving back and community advocacy, but you didn't let it end there. And that's the part of this beautiful woman that y'all really need to understand because when my mom passed away and I decided to launch a nonprofit, you were one of the first people to step up and you joined my board of directors and you supported that with me. And that means the world to me. And, we did that very successfully for 5 years. And even when she wasn't living here in South Florida, within arm's reach, right? That didn't stop her from participating and showing her support. So that just goes to show that you are that role model that they chose. They chose the right person as Miss United States. That is not even too far fetched. So when you were in that role, what was the most memorable moment during your reign as Miss United States?
I would have to say experiencing new cultures. I was able to travel quite a bit and I was able to go out overseas. And it wasn't the first time I've been overseas, but I experienced it in a different light as Miss United States. And I really didn't understand until I stepped overseas, what that entailed, wearing a crown overseas and the respect it gives you and the way that people look at you. I'm like, oh my God, I feel like a little celebrity. Like it felt so surreal.
Well, you were a celebrity. I
Yeah.
mean, that's legitimate. You're Miss United States. See, she's still
Yeah.
being humble. Still being humble.
It didn't dawn on me, right? I mean, you try to be a good role model. I didn't see it for just the crown and the sash. It went beyond that. I always try to look back at who did I impact, who I could motivate. Um, my platform was always about the girls. Like even when I had, when I won my titles, I was like, this isn't all. It's not just about this. I'm like, what is it that you're trying to accomplish,
Yeah.
right? So I would just remember beyond the travel, how I was treated, but then also how I could impact girls back home and be like, this is all great and dandy, loves, but there's more to it than this. I mean, what is it? What is the definition of what you want it to be? Like, I remember one of the girls was able to even fund or start their own foundation, and it was called GEM, like genuinely be your own person. And she was able to find herself within, her own foundation and her own creation. So that was the most impactful memory of mine. It's just beyond what you see, beyond the luxury. It's, hey, what did you gain from it?
Yeah.
What was it that built kind of like my self-esteem too? Because a lot of people have that, oh no, you have it all. You might be at that top peak of, oh, you think you got it. But no, I mean, we're all human. And at my, even, stepping on that stage, you get those butterflies and it's like, oh my gosh, am I good enough? Okay, just snap it on. Let's go.
Yeah. But then you finally accomplished that, and then you're given this amazing platform
Yeah.
to you get a choice at that moment, right? You get to choose how you want to use your powers, right? You use your
Right.
powers for good, and you're not just a role model for other young women, but you're also representing a title. And that's a big deal. Like you said, it's in its own way a celebrity status.
Right.
And celebrities are always given that choice, how do they want to use their platform, So I think it's so wonderful that you were able to do so much good and also learn for yourself. That was part of your development and your own culture now that you've grown into this great new role. So best lesson that you learned as Ms. United States, it sounds to me like it was being authentic, but it was also leading by example and absorbing all of the different elements that were around you. Is that pretty accurate?
Yeah, no, it's pretty accurate. And it's not about being a crown chaser, because in our industry, we understand that terminology. It's not about chasing the crown. It's about chasing who you actually want to be, right? And who you want to represent and what is it that you want to impact, right? So the crown might give you the platform, but you have to have some sort of backing to give it that name, because the name in itself won't give it its own standing, right? It's what you make of it. So
I think like any title, right? I think that no matter what, whether it's celebrity status or, pageantry crowns, whatever it is, you could even be a school teacher, which, oh, by the way, she was that also.
for a split minute.
And what's really funny is she was a teacher at my son's high school.
Oh my goodness.
And it's funny because, you could try to downplay how beautiful she is, right? By, dressing
More conservatively.
and not being all made up, like she's in a pageant or going to an event. But let's face it, you are strikingly beautiful. So she was definitely the prettiest teacher at the school, and
Goodness.
being young and, and everything, it definitely got the attention of a lot of the kids. So when my son met her, he's like, oh my gosh, I know who she is. He's like, everybody has a crush on her at school. So I just thought that was so fun. But, I think that like we said before, yes, you can be beautiful and lovely, but you're so much fun to be around. I mean, every time we're together, we laugh and we cry and we laugh and we cry and we laugh until we cry. Like, it's just contagious with her. You can't help but have a great time.
Yeah.
And that, again, lends itself to the amazing family and the core of who you are. And I think it's great that as a business owner, you continued with that leadership role. What helped you the most as a female entrepreneur?
Oh,
Do you think pageantry had some lessons, family support? Or was it something within yourself?
I mean, I would say all the above,
Yeah.
right? There's a word that you introduced me to, right? That it was very shocking. Because I was like, I didn't see myself that right or that way. And it was resilient. And I was like, oh, that, yeah, I'm that. Okay. What is that? And I found it within me and you pointed it out and I was like, oh wow, yeah, no, that embodies me, right?
Yeah, yes, it does because you, you know, I think a lot of listeners, especially the female listeners, no matter what age you are, you're either in it now because you're a young woman and you're like, yes, it's hard. You want to break the mold. You don't want to do what society dictates. You don't want to do what social media dictates, right? And then to be in your 20s, 30s, 40s, and beyond, you still don't necessarily want to have to just do what people think you should do or the glass ceiling that is often put above us. And you shattered that glass ceiling, and I saw a lot of myself in you because I was known for doing that. I was known for breaking many glass ceilings over my head, whether it was career or personally. And one of the core elements of the nonprofit that I started when my mom passed was rising above the influence of others. That is who you are because you never allowed anyone else to dictate who you are. You knew who you were. And whether it was going really well or it was a really big struggle, I never saw you not continue to move forward. And that was when the word resilience came to mind that you created for yourself. Yes, I didn't create the word. I did not coin the phrase. Okay. I'm just calling it like I see it, listeners. Calling it like I see it. So now let's go from pageantry to entrepreneurship to school teaching to what was your motivation to enter law enforcement? And not just entering law enforcement, everybody, like we're talking top notch. This isn't just, local police force here. We're talking national security. So what was your motivation to make this switch?
So when I was going through school, I would say that was my goal. To enter law enforcement, to have a law enforcement background. My family came from that background. It was always my aspiration, right? One thing or another, life happens. You make certain decisions and it kind of sways you away for a minute, right? But that dream was always there. So although it took me a couple years, I do believe that the path that I took at that point in time helped me to develop certain skills that I actually did need to be able to grow into that role, right? So beyond the fact that I wanted to be a sheriff, and then I wanted to just be like, okay, I'll just be a state police. And I was like, I can do it. I know I can do it. I was the only girl that was passing the academy. I was like, I got this. Life happened. Great. And then now, I think it's like 12 years later, beyond state and local, I'm federal, which is like, oh, I didn't know that's what God had planned for me.
Oh, yeah.
Great.
Yeah. And let me just share. Okay. So I remember years ago when we first became friends and you shared a little bit about that being on your radar for your future. And I'm thinking, oh, okay. I didn't think much about it because it was so different than what I saw you actively doing, right? I mean, we were actively in business very similarly, right? We were kind of side by side. And I thought, oh, this is exciting, if that happens, that's cool. I never imagined it was going to be so intense. Like I'm going to throw some photos up here so the viewers and listeners can appreciate who you have become. This is not just law enforcement. This is next level, like you said. And I am so impressed by the amount of dedication and training that this young woman has invested to serve our country. Guys, this is what America is made of. This is what dreams are made of. And when you used to talk about this job as something that was always a dream of yours, I don't think I really wrapped my mind around the idea of her walking in this superpower uniform with a giant assault rifle in her hands literally capable of taking down a hostage situation.
Oh,
Like,
goodness.
this was like not even something I thought of. And so as it started to unfold, I'm like, wow, she is really doing this. This
Yeah.
is huge.
Yeah.
I mean, what was the hardest and favorite part of your training, if you're allowed to share that?
Sure. Okay. You know, with the active shootings happening nowadays, especially in schools, right? Um, oh, they play that role really well for us, putting us in those stressful situations. And I believe that was like the hardest part of my training because your heart's pounding and you have to remember absolutely everything that you just learned. And because you go through a 3 to 4 month process of like training and doing combatives and then doing active threats. Well, actually, we don't call them active shooters anymore. It's active threats, right? Because the threat could be anything. It could be the person, it could be a bomb, it could be whatever the case may be. So it just can't be an active shooter because you never know, right?
Sure, sure.
So you walk into the scenarios and you have people just like blazing you down a hallway, and all you're doing is just following stimulus, and then you're following sound, and then you're following. Okay, I have to remember that I have to clear every room, but then I know the gunshot's coming from there, and you have people running your way. Whew, chaotic. It's very chaotic, but it's just remembering, and it's called tunnel vision, something that, they have us go through the process, and they're like, did you hear certain things? I'm like, yeah, I heard a gunshot, and then I saw stimulus, and they're like, did you hear music by any chance? I'm like, music? What are you talking about? No, because you get so tunnel vision. It's just, what are you focusing on? It's actually, the threat at hand. And I believe that was like the most stressful part for me. And everything else just kind of almost came very natural because I've always been that hands on type of person. Whether it was engineering, whether it was pageantry, I was always very hands on. Like sitting behind a desk, okay, great. But I was very hands on. So I absolutely loved it. But I learned from it, right? It even helped me to do my job very well, I would say, to my expectations, right? I always feel like you're never perfect and you can always learn from anything and everything we do. But I've had situations that I've had to dismantle a person that had a gun coming to a federal property, and then having to do arrest and then having to go to court. And it was like going through all this process. And I'm like, oh my goodness. I remember I was speaking to you about just a little bit about my experience that I had to watch myself on video and then understand that, oh my God, I just did that. And it was just, no, it was just my brain just absolutely went back to my training without me even second guessing. It was second nature. It was absolutely amazing to see myself develop in a role that I was kind of yearning for so many years. And I embraced it.
See, I think that's the most beautiful part of seeing you putting this into action. And by the way, she's telling me this intense story as I'm trying to eat breakfast the other day. And I'm just like, I could barely even eat my breakfast sandwich because I'm just like, oh my gosh, what happened next? You did that? What? Like, that's just incredible. I mean, and I never felt so safe, like sitting out in public with her. I'm thinking, gosh, anything can happen. But I was also watching how observant you were of our environment. And I remember going home telling my husband, even, I was like, wow, I'm like, I see such a mature new woman. I mean, I already thought you were this fabulous, mature woman, and now you're like, you've gone to that next level. And so with your training, that's all very intense. And how how long was the initial training before you were able to get into uniform and actively portray your role?
So our training is about 3 to 4 months to understand the federal aspect of what we're able to abide by and what we're able to act on and how we should be able to act on certain things. Very different from state and local, I'm going to tell you, because they go a little bit more depth and we take on what it is state and local statutes, but we work on our own federal, right? So we have to understand our laws very well.
You're also targeted, I think, very differently than local law enforcement
Yes.
is. I mean, local law enforcement is not necessarily targeted. You guys are literally targets.
Right. I remember I was telling you that. We have to not just worry about public safety, but then we also have to worry about guarding very high individuals in the national capital region, as well as having to deal with bomb threats. And I've had to gone through training to dismantle even those that might be suicide bombers or might be carrying, bombs in their bags, to the point to where I would have to physically take them down and be tied to their, hands if, let's say a switch was in their hand or whatever the case may be. I mean, it goes beyond that. Your mindset has to be very different and understand that you are serving and it is a sacrifice.
Yeah.
There's bomb threats almost like every day where I am. And the things that we have to do and, becoming incident command and all these things. I absolutely love the fact that kind of my division has understood that I understand what I'm doing.
Right.
I do take my role very seriously. I am a bubbly human being. You can't take that away from me. My laughter, you hear a mile away. Everybody knows where I am at all times because my laugh just never stops. But when it's time to get down and serious, I take it to heart, right? Because it's not just about me. It's about my fellow officers, the people that we're guarding every single day to be able to go home safely. And then for me to be able to go home safe at the end of the day to my little 4-year-old. My 4-year-old. He's supposed to be 5, but my, what do you call it? 4 like a child. There you go.
Your fur baby.
My fur baby.
And yeah, I have tremendous respect, and I hope you don't mind me saying this also, but something that I learned the other day when we were catching up, because, we go several months between getting to see one another and talk regularly because she's pursuing this and I'm fully supporting her as her friend. But something that you mentioned that I want to share, because part of being in the know is giving people inspiration, and it's giving them a little bit of empowerment, I hope, to go, oh my gosh, I want to do that too. Or if she did it, so can I, right? You're the only woman in your platoon. Is
Yes.
that correct? Okay.
Correct.
That is not easy. That is a lot of testosterone to manage on a regular basis on top of your already intense job, right? So I credit you for that. But I also, something that you mentioned is you are pursuing additional training, additional education. And I think that is just so tremendous. And that really shows that when you've got a goal in mind and you have a true passion for something, that no one and nothing is going to get in the way of that. And only you can make it happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you could be your own worst enemy, but only you can truly make that happen, right? I know you've got a lot going on that we can't discuss as far as up and coming roles that she's going to be pursuing, which if you thought her job was really cool now, just stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen, because she is continuing to actively serve and protect in ways that I just couldn't even imagine, and I couldn't be more proud of her for. Now, with that said, this is a very stressful job. What do you like to do to decompress besides enjoy your 4-legged baby?
My 4-legged child. I would have to say, as much as people try to emphasize on health and exercise, I would have to say exercising helps me just kind of decompress, right? At the end of the day, there's a lot that happens that I'm mentally exhausted, physically exhausted, that if I don't keep my heart pumping, if I don't keep my health up to par, and all the weight, about 25 to 30 pounds that I'm wearing a day, it gets very taxing, right? So exercise has become kind of like my pivotal point of life that I absolutely need to do on a daily, as much as I can, especially on my days off. But then also just spending time with my fur baby. Like, it's important because there's a lot of moments that I'm not able to share with him, and I embrace those moments, right? Because their lives are much shorter than ours, and that's my go-to. That's like kind of my refuge. He's my safe haven, right? Him and I have been through so many moves and so many things together that I'm just grateful just to have him when I come home.
Yeah.
Like, I live alone. I have a life of my own. I've become very independent, but he's dependent on me.
Yeah.
So, at my age of 30 plus years,
Calm down. Just wait. There's so much more. Just wait. I can't wait for that episode one day. Oh,
and
man.
not being a mom yet. That's who depends on me, and I'm, a fur mommy.
But they're the best because, we have 2 dogs at home, and there's so much more than that. Like, I've even joked around about the fact that Eddie literally came from my uterus. Like, he is the best dog ever. He and Murphy are so human to us. And the unconditional love, but also the way they're so dialed in to us and our needs. Like, I love that, you leave the room and you come back and they're like, where have you been? You've been gone for so long. And I'm like, I've been
2
gone
seconds.
8 seconds. Like, I've literally left the room and I came back, and you're just wagging your tail and happy. And, so I'm excited that you still, you have that. And it's so cute that our fur babies, my original boy
Yes.
and your boy, are not far apart in age. I
Yeah.
remember when they first met. It was so
Yeah.
cute. Little puppy kisses
Yeah.
out playing outside. I know decompressing is important. Do you also have an emphasis? This is something I love all the guests to share because I feel like a lot of my guests, we all share this in common. Do you layer in different aspects of health and nutrition with your health and exercise?
Oh goodness, yes. I've learned the great and the hard way. Especially I work 12-hour shifts, right? So I'm not an 8 to 5, right? I work a Panama schedule. It's 12-hour shifts. So I went from coming home and eating dinner to now eating lunch, actually breakfast, lunch, and dinner at work. So when I actually get home, I'm good. Right. And it was so important. And I was actually speaking to my mom about this the other day. I'm like, hey, my cycle changed. I see my body a very different way. And it was because I wasn't coming home after an exhausting day, having to cook, then eat. Right. So I eat my heaviest meal throughout lunch and then my lightest meal at dinner. So I eat, like, let's say a pasta or a rice bowl or whatever the case may be. But then my dinner is a salad with a protein, right? And I do that because I've noticed that if I actually take the time to decompress at home and not be rushing after being rushed all day and not being all physical and whatnot, I'm able actually to calm down. And my body has actually replicated that back to me. And I'm like, oh my
You
God, I
probably
feel
have a lot.
better.
You probably have a lot to replenish. I mean,
Right.
what you're dealing with, even on a non-busy day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to imagine a non-busy day in federal law enforcement. Gosh, you're pretty much always on guard, so you're never relaxing. So you have 12 hours of not being at peace or relaxing. So that's a lot. And again, I have so much respect for that, and I'm glad you were able to share how you make that work. And so, in closing. I can't believe we've already gone through a whole episode together. We could have like 10 episodes back to back. We just like talking and spending time together. Mee-Ladie, if you could have a conversation with your 15-year-old self and give her a piece of advice or share something, what would you tell her?
That although life gets hard, just remember that you actually do have your family to fall on and you have the support of them to be able to reach anything in all aspects of what you want to achieve in life. I recall, having this conversation with my mom the other day. I'm like, at this age, I was 13, mom, and yeah, I'm completely in a different scope of life of where you were. But she's like, I never would have thought that my daughter at this age, she's like, my hat goes off to you. I'm like, thanks, mom. That's awesome, right? But just remember that the sky is not the limit. Not even space is the limit. I'm just like, oh, that's my goal. Great. I've heard so many adversities, so many different types of things that were told to me throughout life. Oh, you can't do that. Oh, because you're a woman. And I'm like, oh, okay. So if I was a man, it would be different. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I'm gonna still do it. I'm still gonna do it, and I
Well,
still did it.
congratulations on not only doing it, but doing it better. And I think that, a lot of people can accomplish things, but to accomplish it and then take it to the next level, you've literally elevated every one of those experiences. And I'm so proud of you. And anybody listening is going to be like, man, I don't know her, but boy, I'm proud of her.
Aw.
And I think that's tremendous. And you're right. Leaning on our family, especially our moms, is so super important because you know what? Even though my mom isn't physically here, she's so much a part of my heart and my life because of all the years that she did love and support me. Even when I made gigantic bonehead mistakes, even when I was the worst, most awful teenager in the whole wide world, my parents should have like kicked me to the curb, right? They didn't. They loved me, they guided me, and they really taught me about unconditional love. And I'm so grateful because now I feel I can apply that as a mom and a friend and a sister and all the things that are important in life. And I'm sure a lot of the strength that you get is coming directly from her. And I think it's so great that you're reminding the younger listeners that that's important and never let go of that. And just remember that, a relationship with moms is like a cat. You'll always land on your feet.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
mom, and I'm not a huge cat lover. I mean, I know I'm going to get some hate for this. I'm a dog person.
Yeah,
I'm
we're dog
sorry.
people.
Nothing against, I love all animals. All
Yes.
animals are important. But anyway, so I just, I am super excited and proud of this young woman. Ladies and gentlemen, salute her as if she were like the coolest person in the world, because that she is. And stay tuned, because when I bring her back, we're going to have new developments and even more cool stories to share. And if you enjoyed today's episode, as always, please like it, share it, comment, and always let us know what you want to be in the know about. Until next time.